Hey everyone out there in the land of YouTube, this is Annette Dion. I'm the host and founder of the Psychic News Network. I hope you're doing great. Today is December 29th, Wednesday, 2021. We're winding down. Right, so it's 9 o'clock Eastern time. And I see that we have 2 more days left to 2021. Heads up, tomorrow, Corey at Bridge Cape Ann and myself and Linda G are doing a show. So I hope you guys can make it. I'm not sure if we're going live, but nonetheless, it doesn't really matter if we go live or not. It will be up tomorrow, sometime later in the day, 3 o'clock Eastern time. We're going to do that. But if we don't go live, it'll just be posted sometime after that. So one more announcement. I just want to remind you that on Friday, New Year's Eve, from 6 to 9 p.m., I'm doing something that I've never done before, but the guides instructed me to do this. So when the guides say to do something, I know not to ignore that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have kind of a vigil, like for 3 hours straight, alternating 8 minutes of quiet meditation with 8 minutes of myself reading something from a spiritual book of some sort. So 8 minutes of meditation, 8 minutes of spiritual food for thought, and that's going to be from 6 to 9 p.m. live streamed here on YouTube. 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern time. Obviously, I'm in Massachusetts, and I hope if you're in another country, you know, it doesn't matter where you are, you can join in, and then I'll see if I can post that afterwards. There should be some delicious quotes. There may be a little music too. Kind of remains to be seen. So I've got a list of questions because I kind of spent the day, you know, goofing off a little bit. Because we all have to goof off a little bit at the end of the year. You know, make sure if you haven't goofed off yet, you need to go goof off. Do whatever. I went to a witch store in New Hampshire. That was fun with my niece and had a great vegetarian dinner. So it was great. It was fun. So I hope you do something fun. I'm just telling you this because I suggest it. I recommend it. Kick back, give yourself a break. You got through the year. Almost. So Harry Reid passed. Remember I was saying that last video. At the end of every year, it feels like we lose some pretty big players in our history. So, and Desmond Tutu was earlier. So Harry Reid was there in the Obama administration. I remember hearing his name a lot. I don't know a lot about what role he played in our government and what legacy he has left behind. I will do my homework on that. And I did mention, gosh, is it David K. Johnston? Somebody did post the interview that I was mentioning about, that's called The Big Cheat. If you know the name of it, you can look it up. The Big Cheat. I'll see if I can post the link. About Trump and the Trump family through the generations and how it really is in their DNA to lie and cheat and steal. And really that's the big 3. Lie, cheat, steal, lie, cheat, steal, lie, cheat, steal. In other words, con your way to winning. Don't ever do it honestly. That's kind of true, right? It's totally true. Con your way to winning. Never do it honestly. Don't even consider doing it honestly. So it's really interesting. It's a really good The Big Cheat. Good thing to check out. Now, I never mentioned Ghislaine Maxwell in my videos because, quite frankly, some things are just so slimy, horribly disgusting, unbelievable that it's just too hard. But we did find out today that the jury is convicting her, and she's guilty, I think, on all but one count. She faces life in prison, and, you know, good riddance. That's what I say. I mean, I'm not promoting that people should rot in prison. However, when justice is served, we can feel a sense of relief. That's one less dangerous sex trafficker in the world. Because she'll be behind bars. And then, they're going to, of course, her lawyers always say, oh, we're going to appeal it, she's innocent. I couldn't even believe I heard them say, she's innocent. I actually heard them say that, but that's what lawyers say. I guess it's typical, but we live in an age of gaslighting and lying. So, of course, they're going to say that. I do have a list. I have 6 things I want to cover. One was that, okay. Let's just get over this topic of Ghislaine Maxwell. I actually wanted to ask a question because I don't know if I've asked this before. I know there's a lot of question marks around Jeffrey Epstein taking his own life in prison. I do remember hearing that his psychologist, when his psychologist went to speak with him that particular day, I know it was a summer day, I do remember that. Excuse me. Bill Barr actually had a meeting with Jeffrey Epstein and the psychologist, and according to the psychologist, I think it was the psychologist first who spoke with Jeffrey Epstein that day that Jeffrey Epstein purportedly took his own life. I always had a question mark about that in my head because I felt like Jeffrey Epstein had the dirt on a lot of people that would have not wanted anybody to know that they had anything to do with participation in the sex trafficking ring. So anyway, long story short, it was very suspect that even though Jeffrey was in a relatively, I guess, decent mood, is relatively right, that day that he went and took his own life. I have another pendulum. This is like, it's like readers, if you wear readers, if you need a little magnification to see small print. I usually have about 10 pairs and then it like wanes down to about 3 pairs and then I lose all my pairs, and the pendulums are the same way, and guitar picks. But anyway, we all have our quirks, right? So I have a new one. I do still have my other ones, but not all of them. And we're going to ask, did Jeffrey Epstein actually take his own life? Yeah, I mean, it's as I suspected. And remember, the day that Jeffrey Epstein purportedly committed suicide, the prison guards, I think they took a nap or something. I really know they didn't figure that out, because I'm pretty sure it was a maximum security prison, but I mean, the security, no matter what kind of prison it was, how did they not notice if Jeffrey Epstein was just, going through the motions of committing suicide in his prison cell? How did the prison guards just miss it? Because it took a few minutes, right? And there's cameras. The guys just said the word heist, but I don't know if that's related. I have to look up that word. Okay. Was it a murder? Okay, so I'm just going, I'm just a psychic. This is for entertainment purposes only. Wink, wink. The plot thickens. Oh, let's look at some cards about that. I promise I won't dwell on this topic too long. I promise myself that. Because I only meant to just mention it. But I have had that question on my mind for some time now. Did he actually take his own life, or was he taken out? Was Jeffrey Epstein actually taken out because of how much dirt he had and how many plea bargains he could have done? Well, okay, the Justice card is here. I actually think they're going to find out that he that it was a collaboration. The guys are saying collaboration. So we're talking about Jeffrey Epstein. Did he in fact take his own life? I'm getting there was some kind of a collaboration. Yeah, on the Knight of Swords. Yeah, somebody came in and kind of led him astray. The Justice card indicates that it's going to be found out someday. And there are some guilty parties. The Seven of Swords. Yeah, that's me being psychic. That's what I'm picking up about whatever happened to Jeffrey Epstein. Let's look at just real quick. Is Ghislaine Maxwell going to serve life in prison? Gosh, she deserves it. Sociopath you have to understand, we can't relate to that kind of a brain if we're not sociopaths. It's a different brain. I'm not justifying her actions. I'm just saying, yes, actually, I'm saying she was capable of some acts that were so heinous. And this went on for years. So I'm going to ask the cards, is she going to have to serve her full life in prison sentence? Well, I actually see decades in prison. I actually see where her lawyers are going to, the guys are showing me when she's 85, maybe, she might get out. Really? I'm wondering if the lawyers are going to come up with something that's Ghislaine Maxwell's when they're going to appeal it because they're claiming she's innocent. Yeah, right. I have oceanfront property in Arizona to sell you too. I feel like the lawyers are going to come up with something that feels like a compromise that involves other people. Kind of like what they were trying to do was get it to seem like Ghislaine Maxwell was not really, like other people were more guilty or something like that. It was more like Epstein's guilt was really the heaviest guilt and that her guilt should be less. I know, it doesn't make any sense to me either. But the Chariot is, the lawyers, Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyers are going to rush in and see if they can have some kind of a bargain. And what I see is that instead of it being life in prison, it being like a pretty maxed out sentence, but that's not life. But I mean like till she's 85, 90, something like that, when she can't really do much else. And you know, who knows if she'll even live that long. I know that I don't think prison food is like the kind of food that produces longevity and great health. So there, way too much time on that topic. Let's go to the next one. And of course, you could probably guess what the next topic is. Not Trump yet. Omicron. Omicron. I got honey on my piece of paper. I'm a honey addict, I'm telling you. Okay, so native honey is really good for your immune system, just so you know. Omicron. I'm trying to avoid this topic. Let's see. We're going to see a restructuring of our healthcare system because of Omicron. This is going to be the game changer for our healthcare system. I don't know what that means. Let me ask the guys, what do you mean by that? What are you telling me about how Omicron's going to change our healthcare system? Well, I'm wondering if healthcare workers are going to be receiving an increase in pay. Yes. I think there may have been a time that RNs made a lot more money than they do now. I don't know. I'm not in that field, obviously. And doctors, you know, I don't think doctors make as much as they used to. Like, you know, one time I heard that airline pilots make, I think it was Michael Moore, the filmmaker, was talking about airline pilots, and like I always thought airline pilots made like lots and lots and lots of money and they had lived in mansions and stuff. I don't know why. I just thought, you know, the job kind of warranted that. They had all these lives in their hands driving, you know, riding the plane. So I feel like I was very shocked to hear when Michael Moore said that airline pilots make very little money, nowhere near what they should. I don't know if that's still the case, but I'll have to look that up. If anybody knows, let me know. So maybe doctors don't make as much as, I mean, relative to like the amount of risk that they're taking and the amount of insurance, liability insurance that they have to pay, are doctors going to experience an increase in pay due to this virus? I'm feeling like we're going to see that. So you know what? It's a supply and demand issue. If the demand is high, oh yeah, it's made out of copper. It's kind of cool. If the demand is high, copper is a conductor of electricity. Obviously, right? We all know that. We're all like physics. If the demand is high, then it's going to pay more. The demand is very high. Are we going to see the end of Omicron by January, February, March? Looks like the end of March. I don't mean completely eliminated. I'm just talking about where it's kind of off the table. Omicron. Okay, so let's ask my nifty new pendulum. Are we going to see another variant after Omicron? Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. Okay. So let's kind of look at that. But Omicron is going to be, the guides are saying Omicron is going to push a lot of things over the edge. So it's kind of like the truth teller in terms of how bad the underlying systems really are. That's what I'm picking up about Omicron. If you want to look at big picture of the function of Omicron in terms of how it changes us, it's gonna cause us to restructure a lot of things. Schools, child care, and healthcare primarily. Those three things are good. The Omicron, sort of side effects are that those three arenas are going to shift drastically. And also employment wages too. Just general, like, remember when the virus first hit last year? How, I don't know about you, but we just felt like we never appreciated the grocery store workers as much as we did then, because they were literally risking their lives to make sure that we could get groceries. And then there's that time period where nobody could find good work. They couldn't find employees, and because all that became more like sought after and valuable. And so, some of those cashiers got very sick, and some died. So that shifted our perspective on what an essential worker is. It's not just an EMT, but an essential worker is also your grocery store person. And those kind of jobs that people didn't pay much attention to. So this virus, just taking a broader perspective, this virus is changing the face of humanity. It's pretty amazing. Just from that perspective. So I'm asking about, is there going to be another variant? There will be another variant, and the magician says with each variant, they're learning more and more and more about the virus. Even though each one is different, they're learning more and more about it. And I am picking up that they're going to find a cure for the common cold as a kind of a fringe benefit of doing all this research on this coronavirus. So that's interesting. The strength card means we'll be stronger in the face of the new variants. I'm not saying an end to this for 2 years. However, we will be stronger and more resilient in the face of it. It will change. This virus is going to change the face of America, absolutely. I'm not sure if that's going to be more than other countries, but this virus will definitely change the face of America. It makes sense, actually, because I think we're the most violent in terms of the mask wearing and everything. Is this virus going to, is it going to take our economy down? Sorta. This virus is gonna It's definitely gonna have a huge impact on our economy. You might say that it already has, but I see a shifting around. You know, like I actually see a shifting around between the haves and the have-nots. So, and that's kind of a positive in a sense. I mean, I'm not saying the virus is a positive, but I'm just saying it's going to shift around our, you know, the lines are going to blur between the haves and the have-nots. Very interesting. By the way, there's a lot of topics to go over for 2022, and we're going to do that with Linda G. If you didn't catch it, on Bridge Cape Ann, Corey and I did a show last week with my 2022 predictions. We might actually do another show, Corey and I, with Bridge Cape Ann on New Year's Eve day. Because we had so many more questions. It's a time of many questions. The other thing I have on my list for tonight is our buddy Vlad. I call him our buddy Vlad. If you need to count any blessings, I mean, there's a lot for us to be, if you're not overly grateful, just to be like, okay, I'm glad that's kind of in place. If Trump was president right now, Putin would have already invaded Ukraine and Trump would have cheered him on. I'm not just kidding. And on that note, if Biden didn't get elected, just speaking of COVID, if Biden didn't get elected, if Trump was still president, we'd have 2 million people dead. I mean, it's bad. It's bad. Anyway, but what's good is, just speaking of the Russia thing, I did say a few weeks ago, I felt like Putin had too much to lose on the world stage. And I was tuning into the Russian troops on the border of Ukraine today, and I feel that I don't know what the climate is there, but I felt like they're freezing. It's very uncomfortable, and they probably hate being there, but you know, they have no choice. I think the military might be mandatory in Russia, but don't quote me on that. I have no idea, but it feels like they have to be there. They're being forced to be there. And of course, you know, they're soldiers, they're Russian soldiers, so they got to do what they got to do. And I'm sure some want to be in with the cause, but I didn't really get that. So I think the guides are showing me they're freezing, literally freezing with the cold. I think the guides are showing me that might just be symbolic somewhat to say that it's getting uncomfortable for Putin. It's getting uncomfortable. So apparently, if you haven't heard the news, he requested a call with Joe Biden, and that's going to be happening tomorrow. So let's take a look at 3 cards to see what our buddy Vlad is going to have to talk about with our buddy Joe. The Gumbadis. That's what we say around here. I'm Sicilian. What are the Gumbadis going to talk about? No, it was Putin he's blinded with a lust for power. That's what the guides are saying. Vladimir Putin is blinded with lust for power. Boy, that was kind of poetic, wasn't it? Blinded with lust for power. My goodness. My guides are waxing philosophical. By the way, do you like my friend Rena gave me this, and this is Padre Pio, Saint Padre Pio. He's on the other side, but anyway, you've seen him before. Pray, hope, and don't worry. See? Pray, hope, and don't worry. Okay? I have this here for a reason. Pray, hope, and don't worry. Okay. This, just as we suspected. Our buddy Vlad is feeling between a rock and a hard place. 8 of Swords, just doesn't know which way to turn. He's conniving. I mean, he's not stupid. He's conniving. What's he going to say in the meeting? The guys are saying it's a bargaining. It feels like a bargaining. But Putin's going to have a big ask. He's going to have a big ask. Now, the reason that I was kind of like I'm just amazed with gratitude that Joe Biden is our president right now and not Trump, who didn't know what the heck he was doing. Biden's been, 8 years with Obama. He's been in government his entire life, pretty much. And he's followed Putin all the time that he's been president of Russia. So Biden knows full well what he's dealing with, and he's got a lot of, all that intelligence, all that information coming in. The Page of Cups. Yeah, the Page of Cups. This is our buddy Vlad. See how he's looking down at the cup like, I don't know. He's kind of like coming to the meeting like, Vlad is kind of trapped. The King of Wands is indicating that Biden's gonna give him something, concede to something, but it's not major. And I feel, let's ask the pendulum, is Russia gonna retreat? I'm feeling yes. I'm feeling like Russia's gonna retreat, and Vlad is gonna make it feel like, this is just temporary. Is Russia gonna retreat? I feel them retreating. That's what I get based on my psychic facts. I coined the term psychic facts. Which is kind of a conundrum if someone's going to try to accuse me of lying, right? Oh, there's psychic facts. What can they say to that? It's my little ploy. Next. I do want to ask something about 45. We want to ask a lot about 45. One of the things I want to ask before I get to the Supreme Court. The guys just said no way. Because, the Supreme Court decides if the January 6th Commission can see, 700 more documents or something that Trump is trying to say he has executive privilege, even though, what did that judge say? The president is not king and the plaintiff is not president. Classic line. Classic line. That was beautiful. There are these moments that we have to just jot down in our, just this whole debacle of the United States. That was a good one. So first I want to ask a question, before we get to the Supreme Court and what's going to happen with their involvement in this Trump executive privilege kind of a thing, I just want to say a couple things. Let us not forget that if a person is innocent of a crime they're being accused of committing, I just have to remind us all, okay? Let's have a moment of common sense logic 101, because sometimes we forget. And I know we all know this, but if somebody is innocent, they have no problem whatsoever. Look at everything. Search my entire house. Ask all my friends. It's like, if somebody is innocent, then they don't try to hide a thing. Okay? Is everybody with me here? If you were live, I'd be saying, can I get a witness? He's so guilty, and I know it's so frustrating that everyone is so guilty. But he's still trying to hide it. And why is it okay that he's still trying to hide it? Why isn't that evidence enough? That's what I want to know, right? And it's just our justice system, innocent until proven guilty. Well, I think it proves that he's guilty, that he wants to hide all this with his executive privilege. Just saying. So is he going to... Let's see. See, I have a couple questions here. I'm going to ask this question. Is he losing his potency? Is 45 losing his potency? I get a big fat yes. Let's pull 3 cards. This isn't about the Supreme Court. This is about something else. He's thrown his weight around with elections in different states and saying he won't endorse this one and I won't endorse. If somebody voted to impeach him over January 6th, he's Lewandowski. Is that, no, not Lewandowski. I get those two names mixed up. The one in Alaska. Okay, so yeah, so the Two of Swords is, he's kind of in a, he's losing his potency. That would pretty much sum that up. Because it's not really working. Like it didn't work in Virginia. What's his face? As much as we don't like, well, if you're a Democrat, the Youngkin won in Virginia. He had some really awful policies anyway. But he distanced himself from Trump. So Trump is losing his potency. The Ace of Pentacles is always, to me, this is the January 6th Commission in terms of how clear their case is. And the Ace of Cups, there's too much clear stuff against Trump. So yes, he's losing his potency, or I wouldn't have gotten the Two of Swords. I think the Two of Swords indicates to this kind of the stalemate or the stuck place that the Republicans feel like they're in. It's kind of like, should we go for his endorsement or should we not, sort of. But yeah, it's on the fence in terms of like whether he's effective anymore, or I wouldn't have gotten the Two of Swords. And the Supreme Court, so how are they going to behave with this debacle of him trying to keep the records from the January 6th Commission? We have an absolute right to know what happened. This is, I mean, I was really thinking about this today. I took a long walk like I do every day, and I was really thinking about this, and I was thinking about the magnitude of what happened on January 6th. I know you guys are with me on this. Like, I really feel it. It was, even though nobody's looking at it this way, except maybe you, the January 6th insurrection that was incited by the President of the United States, the then President of the United States, I like the air quotes today, was an attack that caught us off guard. Well, not everyone, but and just in terms of what actually happened. We knew something was coming. Caught us off guard. Not much different from the bombing of Pearl Harbor that got us into World War II. Not much unlike that, and also not much unlike 9/11. January 6th is right up there on the list. It was an attack on our country. So, Pearl Harbor, Japan attacked us. 9/11, the terrorists, overseas attacked us. The January 6th insurrection was the domestic terrorists attacking us. And that's the magnitude of this. And I don't want anybody to lose sight of that. We don't want people to just be like, oh, well, it happened. Oh, it's too bad it happened. So the Supreme Court, if they love this country, if the Supreme Court justices love America and want America to be a safe country for their children and grandchildren, then they best do the right thing. Now, by the same token, even just say they're just really not bipartisan, not neutral, if the Supreme Court is not that, I just want to throw this out there. The January 6th Commission has everything that it needs. The other thing I want to say about the January 6th Commission that I'm picking up on really strongly is when they come out with the entire story and it's signed, sealed, and delivered, there will be nothing missing. It's going to be it's like a perfect movie in the sense that they're not going to leave anything out. It's going to be impeccable. And this is what Merrick Garland has taken so long about. There's a lot going on behind the scenes, as we probably can deduce. There's when that report comes out, don't get too caught up on, well, they need to convict this one, this is dangerous. Don't listen to that on MSNBC and CNN. You know, MSNBC is the worst. Keep your eye firmly on the goal. We need to have a safe country. They need to have everything that this case has to be slam dunk in your face. These guys, they definitely did it. You know, over 100 Republicans, not just guys. I didn't mean to say just guys. They definitely did it. And we definitely have to know the whole story. And they're not messing around. They're leaving no stone unturned. This January 6th commission, they're not ignoring a thing, and they have a ton of evidence that's indisputable. So let us not lose patience. Let us hold on to our hats. Let us pray our butts off. I'm sorry. Just hold your intention. Firmly hold your intention. So we're not going to get too freaked out. Like, how many times have we been freaked out in the past 5 years? Just absolutely, it's countless times. On the edge of our seat, what's going to happen? What's going to happen when the Mueller report comes out? What's going to happen? What's going to happen with the impeachments? Just constant. Is the Supreme Court going to rule with the United States of America tomorrow? Yes. At first it looked like no, but I just feel like there's going to be a bit of a delay. Is the Supreme Court going to side with the United States of America and let those documents be seen? It looks like yes. And for further information, let us go to the cards. It's about the Supreme Court tomorrow. I told you all, up until December 31st at midnight, there's going to be still so much going on. Nobody went on vacation. I mean, maybe physically it looked like they went on holiday, but Remember I said I saw staffers working right through Christmas. Christmas Day, December 25th, even if they're Christian, it doesn't even matter. They work on this January 6th commission. I mean, people behind the scenes. Gosh, I'm getting this a lot. Yeah, some of the Supreme Court justices are going to feel like, oh no, what do we do now? And the guys just said Constitution. Because they know it would be, a violation of the oath that they took to protect and defend America and the United States Constitution. So there's some that are going to feel trapped. They're going to navigate through. They're going to be a little nebulous. A little bit like, I don't know, maybe wait another day or something. But in the end, there's a female on the Supreme Court that is going to be very clear and very succinct and very direct. And it looks like we're going to get to see the Supreme Court is not going to allow Trump to withhold these particular documents. Let us not freak out. Okay? Because being up in times of trouble, being able to hold your ground and just kind of keep your energies uplifted, there are many ways to do that. If you want to write me an email, correspondence emails to me or AnnetteDion7@gmail.com. I can give you some tips. I can give you some tips here on how to just keep it up. We all have to practice this. We all do. I'm included in that. Okay, another thing I want to tell you is that I've been thinking a lot, and it's funny, this is really interesting to me. When I'm kind of on fire with a certain subject matter and topic, lo and behold, whenever I check an email, maybe a newsletter from an author that I follow or something like Carolyn Mace, the other day, I did a reading and then I saw Lena Rodriguez on her channel. And I thought she was doing the same exact reading. Anyway, my point is, on the topic of light, getting a lot of guidance to say this. When the dark is really dark, the light has to fight to be brighter, because we need brighter light. It ends up that we have a more brilliant light than we ever had. Once we get through this, our light will be brighter than it's ever been. Particularly if we keep our eye on the ball, we keep our mind on the goal. We want a free country. We want this country to heal, and we want our democracy to work again. So shining our light brighter is work. It's work, but in the end, it's brighter than it's ever been. Take that for what it's worth. That's what the guides delivered to me today in terms of what's, big picture, what's going on here. Why we have these struggles, why we have this strife, why all of it. When it calms down, and we'll get to, in another session, we'll get to when that's going to calm down. When it calms down, everything is better and the light is brighter. We've got to keep our eyes focused on that and our minds focused on that. Okie dokie schmoky. I will see you tomorrow at some point. We will be doing the show with Linda G about 2022 and with Corey. And don't forget, on New Year's Eve, 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time is the 3-hour meditation. 8 minutes of meditation followed by 8 minutes of reading something, spiritual and sacred. It's going to be kind of random on that front. You don't have to stay the whole 3 hours. You can come in for like a half an hour, or, 8 minutes, whatever. But just know that I will be live streaming that for 3 hours, 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And that's on the early side for those of you, on the West Coast especially, or other parts of the world. I don't know. Later, I guess, on other parts of the world. So if you want to join in that, just, pass it on. I did post that on my group page, the community page, and that's it. Okay, I've blabbered way too much. Love you all. Namaste. If you would like to book a reading, it's Annette Dion, psychic@gmail.com. Please be patient. I've gotten busy. Okay, bye.